But first, a shocking expose of municipal water supplies in our country, where apart from it being dirty and smelling of sewerage, you can even find worms afloat. Umgeni is on the water beat again.
Drinking water that isn't clean is alive with all kinds of hidden life forms. Invisible to the naked eye, fascinating to scientists, repugnant to those with no option but to drink it. It's almost election season and the water wars are brewing. Throughout this week, we've asked you to share some of your challenges with service delivery, particularly when it comes to water. We've been flooded with responses, so we're going to go on a road trip to see how bad things are in South Africa. In Tabazimbi, the residents assured us this isn't a glass of Coke, this is their drinking water, and it comes out of the taps in spurts of green. And this is what their water filters look like after 5 days. In Valwater, Limpopo, the water is several shades of brown. And in Middelburg, they ask how on earth they meant to bath or drink this. But the submission that shocked us the most came from Standerton, where residents say not only is their water brown, but they also have worms in it. We heard the townsfolk were protesting, so we took a drive there.
We want clean water! We want clean water!
Leading the fray is Hester Grint, a community stalwart.
It's dirty, it's brown, it stinks, there's just lumps in the water.
And it's her photos of worms in the water that went viral on Twitter this week.
There's worms in the water. We've even found some tooth in the water. There's toilet paper. If you hold up the faucet, there's toilet paper coming out with the water. It shows you sewage is in our water.
As Tannies from town danced next to mamas from the community, it was clear their desperation has created solidarity amongst the townsfolk, and they're making their voices heard.
My husband gets into the swimming pool with soap, and we wash with soap in the swimming pool because my swimming pool water is cleaner than the water in the tap.
This is from your tap?
Yes.
It looks like a cappuccino.
A cappuccino.
It smells like
Poisonous cappuccino.
Hester collected over 5,000 signatures in the last 4 days.
We want clean water. It is a right, not a privilege.
Yes.
This is the petition and we handed it over. You've got 14 days and we will be on your case again.
The council representatives were curiously mum on the issue.
That is not a threat. It is a promise.
She had huge support from the several hundred strong onlookers as she handed the petition over to the mayor's representatives.
Some places around here in the location, they don't have water. It's been like 3 to 6 months where my sister stays and they haven't had water. And now just recently it's just dirty water in the taps. It's either there's water or there's no water at all.
Yolande's friend Zodwa offered to take us to a house and we followed. The water inside the house wasn't too bad, just an unusual milky white.
This water stinks. It stinks.
But from the outside tap, the water was a putrid orange color.
Smell. Stinks. What is that? Sewage.
The blame is being laid at the dysfunctional water treatment facility outside of town. Water expert Mike Muller says it's a common problem in many smaller towns.
There's two problems. The one is the water isn't properly treated, but the other is particularly in very dispersed communities where the pipes go a long way and they might get broken and there's interruptions in supply. All sorts of things can start growing inside pipes.
He believes these water problems have less to do with water and more to do with local governance.
We still don't have water problems in South Africa. We have governance problems, we have management problems. And until we fix the governance, which we have to do before we can fix the management, we will continue to have these problems.
Despite several attempts to get hold of the Standerton municipality, they ignored our questions. Hester is not surprised.
They don't have the money. They don't have the resources.
They didn't budget for the
They didn't budget for it. So what now?
We approached the National Department of Water Affairs and Acting Director General Trevor Balzer has promised they are working on it.
We have mobilized in Standerton. We have a team which established site last week Thursday and have already started work to reinstate the water system in that area. It's going to cost us in the order of 20 million rand to reinstate the work there.
So, worms in the water, but the Standerton municipality declined to comment. Our story on the water wars continues. The situation is dirty and dire in many small towns across the nation. And a full repair bill could set us back 700 billion rand.
Behind me is Standerton's water treatment facility lying in a complete state of disrepair. There's even effluent flowing here and it's going down to the local river. And the picture isn't that much different in many parts of the country. This year it started on the 13th of January in the Northwest Province. A water strike in Mutlutung near Brits turned violent, leaving 4 protesters dead.
Nobody should die in a democratic South Africa for water. We are further disgusted because we think that the people, the citizens, the residents of South Africa have every right to complain, to march, to sing.
Water supply has since returned to the area, but around the northwest we heard reports that the problem of water not being accessible prevailed. We headed to Zeerust, where we heard people were angry. Buile Majapa has lived here his whole life.
So metsi ha tla le wa thola jwang?
Ra kera mo ditrakeng. Ha ngere bona metsi. Ha gona metsi mo motsing.
We didn't need to look far to find the trucks pumping water in the town. Our understanding is that the pumping is happening from the boreholes on a 24-hour basis, but we've now discovered these water trucks that are taking water from a tap, and we're going to go find out exactly what's going on, who they're working for, and why they're here. We found a municipal employee.
We are distributing water to the villages where there is no water.
15 tankers truck water every day to outlying areas in Zeerust. It's the only reliable source of water for surrounding communities.
This one is 9,000 and the other one is 20,000. Some are 18,000 liters of water.
The local municipal manager and the mayor said the tankering was a short-term solution for a major problem.
We need to be honest. We are unable to cope with the volume of infrastructure development that we need to put in place, that we need to implement in all the areas.
So much so, it's alleged 9 schools had to close at the beginning of the year.
I suspect in Zeerust, for example, where it has been quite dry, probably what happened is the boreholes started running dry and then the boreholes started burning out, and then you will have a water problem. But that's not a problem of requiring a dam, it's a problem of looking after your groundwater properly, and you need skilled, qualified people to do that.
With technical skills and competencies being so critical then, we wondered how on earth they could hire technical manager George Makaukau after he left Bombela under a cloud. Makaukau is a former deputy DG in the roads department and was allegedly fired in the middle of a massive tender fraud scandal including 23 projects, financial mismanagement and gross negligence.
We are aware, and he even made council aware about issues where he was employed at the Free State, which were allegations of corruption.
How is it possible to appoint somebody in that job who's still being vetted?
Personal security check has been done. That's why we have appointed this man.
So can they afford more scandals when media reports alleged that former district mayor Themba Gwabeni redirected 2.7 million rand meant for water infrastructure to a soccer World Cup trip to Brazil? That, coupled with budget shortfalls, it's no wonder the district now needs 1.5 billion for water infrastructure.
The figures that are required in terms of dealing with backlogs are extensive. If you look at our regional bulk infrastructure grant program, we have a budget of some 3.5 billion a year, where our requirement is in the order of 17 billion a year. So you can see what the shortfall is.
Although the Department of Water Affairs and local municipalities have different mandates, the one problem they both admit to having in common is a lack of money. But when the resources that they do have are left to stay wasted like this, one wonders if they'll ever catch up with the backlog. By their own admission, the Department of Water Affairs needs 700 billion rand to fix the country's water infrastructure over the next 10 years. That's the equivalent of 6 Medupi power stations.
So most of the money you need, you still don't have.
Yes, indeed. We don't have a secure source of funding to meet that gap.
So have you figured out where the shortfall will come from?
We estimated the 700 billion. We're putting that into an investment plan, and through that plan we'll identify various sources of funding to close the gap.
We had better hope government can come up with the cash. If they don't, we're likely to see more protests like these, and worms in water won't just be limited to Standerton.
So what would you prefer in your poisonous cappuccino, worms or sewerage? Lovely choice.